Y'all know how we do. It's another episode of Black College Experience, the pop-up show. We have been gone for a minute, but we are here once again to give you some great news and a great interview and some good things that's been going on in HBCU athletics. It does feel like an eternity, but it's not been that long because so much things have gone on around us in the world, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Of course, I'm Keisha J. Kelly, and I'm sitting here in Atlanta, Georgia. I got my co-host Derek Thomas over in Baton Rouge, and today we got the one and only, the FAMU Rattler, Akil Blount. But before we bring Akil on, Derek, where you at?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Just down here in Baton Rouge, of course. Dealing with this Hurricane Laura situation, but we're doing all right. We lost power for a while, but other than that, I haven't really been affected this year by the hurricane, so I'm happy about that.
Because I know a couple of years back, you were affected by those hurricanes. So I know it could kind of seem like deja vu, like you're going back to that same place. And I know how scary that can be, talking about the evacuation and having to take cover and going through that whole thing. So, it's a lot going on. I'm just praying for everybody that's in the path of Hurricane Laura and everybody that's dealing with that, that whole situation, and hope there's some type of normalcy that'll come back. But we're going to roll over to the guy. I continuously joke with him about being a Rattler. You know how that goes, and we're going to welcome the Rattlers in 2021 to the SWAC. But I've often joked with Akil, and I talked with him back and forth on more than one occasion on social media. And it's just happened this past year in February at the Black College Football Hall of Fame in Shrine that I actually got to meet Akil in person. And Akil has his own story, his own life, his own different things that he's done. So I'm not going to hold it up. I'm going to go ahead and let this two-time Rattler tell y'all about everything that he's done and what he's doing now that he's moved on from FAMU.
Hey, well, I really just want to say thank you guys for, having me on. It is definitely a privilege and an honor. I've been following the experience for a while now, and to, be on here, it makes me feel a little bit important. So thanks for having me.
You see how he's doing already. You see how he's starting already. See?
You know what? I'm just glad.
You know how those Rattlers are.
Well, I'm just glad I'm not surrounded by Jaguars, but I don't like snakes.
So. Well, we could. I just want to maybe put an end to the Rattler Jaguar rival right now, at least for this conversation, because last time we played, you came to FAMU, Tallahassee, Bragg Stadium. We handled our business and did what we needed to do.
Don't do that,
in a packed stadium.
You know what?
So
I don't do that.
So we don't have to bring that up anymore.
Did you tell the dad the same conversation?
He heard it, but we're coming to the SWAC, so you'll see enough of us then.
Yes, indeed.
Whatever. Go ahead.
Well, first off, my name is Derek Thomas. I'm a graduate of Mississippi Valley State University, and I'm glad that the Rattlers are coming to the SWAC because this rivalry with the Jaguars was big before I was even really following HBCU football when I was a kid. So getting a chance to I guess bask in it a little bit, knowing Keisha, knowing a few FAMU Rattlers. I mean, this is gonna be big. I mean, might have to make a classic out of this. You know how Southern has a classic with Grambling. This could be another yearly classic game that Southern and FAMU have. But first off, the first question I want to ask you before we even get into your football career, what was it growing up with a father who was as dominant as he was in the NFL, and then being the son of an NFL Hall of Famer?
Yeah, so I think
Jaguar
Hall of Famer as well. Yeah, I think that is a great question, and I've gotten that a lot, and I was actually writing a little piece on it for a blog the other day. But one thing that I would say is that my dad, when I look back on my football experience and sports experience as a whole, my dad, Mel Blount, he never forced us to play a sport. He never forced anything on us or said, hey, you're going to be a football player. You're going to play this position, X, Y, Z. You're going to play basketball and you're going to run track, whatever it may be. But football was something that I had kind of, just grew up in. He always threw us the ball around the house. And he always threw us the ball, around the house. And, it was fun growing up. But one thing that he did teach us was he taught us, he taught us character. He taught us, how to work hard. He taught us how to, be a man, how to carry ourselves, and how to, shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye, when we're talking to them. And those were values that had carried us a long way, but he had never made us work out or forced us to, do any extreme workouts, etc.
Well, and that's the thing, of course, we were all, I didn't get to see your dad play, but I've only seen him play in highlights. And you would think, some people think, oh, he pushed his son. So it's good to know that because, most fathers, want to teach their sons their profession, but I'm pretty sure he wanted to teach you all things outside of football. So outside of football, what are 3 things that you learned from your father?
Going back to what I was saying earlier is that he taught us how to, be a man, how to respect people, how to carry ourselves. And he really did it by, leading by example. And that first thing was, faith. He instilled a foundation of faith, in us. And, we went to church every Sunday, and, that is, our foundation. I had 2 younger brothers, and, growing up, he disciplined us, when we were, out of line, he kept us, in line. And I think those were really the things that translated for me into the game of football. We, live on a farm, and seeing him get every day and take care of the responsibilities. Another thing was the boys' home that we have there with the Mel Blount Youth Leadership Initiative. Those were kids that I had grew up around and saw, how he had given himself to that mission and those values, and investing, in those kids as far as his, service to the community. And those were things that I had grew up seeing, and that I, took with myself to, FAMU and to, into the NFL, to be able to, have those values and characteristics that it really takes to, to be successful in that foundation that was laid at an early age.
Right. And you have, 7 of y'all, right?
Yeah. So I have a few older siblings, and then I have 2 younger brothers that both actually went to North Carolina Central. One played basketball and one played football there at North Carolina Central. And my brother that plays basketball, he's actually training for the NBA draft this year, and has had some interest from a few teams. So, Jabri Blount, we'll have to, hopefully we could get through the NBA playoffs and get the draft underway, and hopefully, he'll end up on a team.
Well, I hope so too. And the thing is, I saw that when I saw it. So was it competitive among your siblings with sports?
Oh yeah, it was real competitive. I mean, it was a blessing to be able to grow up with 3 brothers, and those guys, they're really my best friends. They're my competitors. They're my accountability partners. They're everything to me. So growing up, when I say that we competed, we were in the living room. We were in the living room playing football, and my dad, he was the all-time quarterback, and some pictures and whatnot got got broken, but those were the first practices that we had went through doing ball drills was in the living room. And then, now we all have had the opportunity to go to college and play college sports. And, the place that we're at now is that we compete with each other. We push each other, when we're working out and holding each other, accountable in that aspect. So, it's good to, have brothers that are, that are in sports, because they've meant a lot to me. And I can say that they've played a large role in me being able to get to the point that I'm at today.
Awesome. Keisha?
Okay, so I don't want to keep going your father's background. I do want to kind of plug it into my first question would be, being that, it says you're born in Pittsburgh, how did you choose FAMU? How, because everyone has a story as to how they chose their respective school. How is it that you chose FAMU? Were you recruited by FAMU? How did you choose FAMU in particular?
So I think that that's a good question. In me especially, and this is speaking from an HBCU experience overall, but, I can admit and be transparent that I knew nothing about HBCUs kind of, coming up through high school. And it wasn't until my junior going into my senior year that we went undefeated. I was at Lindsley High School. I was the team captain, had got player of the year. Like most football players, basketball was my first love, and I thought I was going to be a hooper and go to college and play basketball. And, I love basketball. Honestly, I wasn't really a big football fan or, have a love or passion for football, but an opportunity had presented itself, and it was actually FAMU and Southern that played in the Atlanta Classic in 2011. And my dad was going down there to Southern for an event there in Atlanta. And I said, hey, here it is, middle of the football season. I'm playing pretty well, have some good film. And I emailed Stump Mitchell and I emailed Coach Joe Taylor and basically the whole FAMU coaching staff and the whole Southern coaching staff. I emailed them. So I had met with them. They had reached back out to me, and they both offered me scholarships. And I had talked with Southern, but I said, hey, I want to kind of blaze my own trail. Went and visited FAMU. The experience was great. And that's one thing that I would tell a lot of young African-American athletes is that there's no place like HBCUs. There's the culture, the atmosphere, the education, and what it, does for athletes and has done for athletes like myself. I mean, I think that the track record speaks for itself, but I would want to bring more awareness to HBCUs and the opportunities that they provide, because for me personally, I went on and was able to do things that I never imagined possible. I didn't think that I was going to play college football. And then when I got there, to see that there were scouts on the sidelines at, my freshman year in practices, I said, hey, when I'm a senior, I want those guys to be coming back to, be scouting me. And sure enough, I worked my 4 years to make that happen. And, it did. So there's a lot that I could just say about that whole process as far as how I ended up there and the opportunities that were created for me.
And I think, and you hit the nail on the head about the experience. And a lot of times, particularly in this time, particularly in this climate, with so much unrest and so many injustices and so many things that's going on around us, even in the middle of a pandemic, I think a lot of times athletes, they don't realize the power that they have, and they don't understand that you have so many choices, and that HBCUs should be one of your choices. You have a choice. It's nothing wrong with going to an HBCU. And a lot of times, we're told, of course, you can't be drafted. You can't, you're not going to go pro. You're not going to do this, that, and the third because you went to an HBCU or what they would consider a smaller school. So talk to us about the importance of, not only considering, but even going to a HBCU. And outside of that, just that family-oriented experience, your own personal experiences, but talk to us, some kind of conversation you would have with a young man or young woman that might be possibly on the line considering an HBCU and some of the importance of going to HBCU.
Yeah, so what I would say about that is, man, the HBCU experience, first and foremost, it is like none other. I mean, it's really undescribable. It's, uncomparable. I've been to a number of different, universities, and I wouldn't trade that experience, for the world. And sometimes we think that, we have to go to a big Power 5 school. We have to go to SEC, ACC, Big Ten school. And, nothing against those schools, but, sometimes you're, a small fish in a big pond, and that's not the best fit for you, and you're kind of overlooked, and you're just another number at those schools. But when you go to a HBCU, it's personal, and you're connected, and you have a tie-in, and it's more personal, and it's really a culture that is, you can really plant your roots in, and feel comfortable, and be able to grow in. And that's something that I would be able to say is that going to FAMU for me, from football and the crowds that we were that we drew, I think at one point we were top 3 in FCS attendance in the country. So as far as the football and the brand of football and sports and athletics, that's there. And it for guys, it doesn't matter what school you go to, but if you play, if you handle your business on the field, off the field, in the classroom, then the sky's the limit, honestly. And myself, I was the student academic advisory committee vice president. I was the president my senior year. I was the athletic student representative. I later went on to become Mr. FAMU Athletics, and served in the community. And it was really a developmental experience for me that led me to be able to fulfill some of the roles that I'm in now, which I'm sure we'll get to, a little bit later. But FAMU made me, who I am today. And it's really a different type of pride that, there is when you, attend the HBCU.
A seeker before I turn it over to Derek. FAMU was actually my first choice, but I'm going to let Derek take it from here. FAMU was my first choice, but I'm going to let Derek take it.
Always go with your gut. So
I did not. Go ahead, Derek.
All right, so let's get into your football career. So Keisha talked about what made you choose FAMU. So let's talk about your Black college experience as a student athlete once you got on campus. So you played for 4 years. Let's talk about those 4 years at FAMU.
My first year, I really came in. I didn't redshirt. I was, I had got on campus, and I was athletic. I was, big for my size and my position. And the first thing is, I came into camp, and I worked hard, and I said that regardless, I'm going to give myself the best chance to help this team. And Coach Holmes, he played a large part in my development in my first 3 years there as a player. But as a freshman, I learned from Brandon Hepburn and Patrick Scott, who were two instrumental role models for me. And they both went on to, play in the NFL. So it was really coming in at a time where I see guys who were great role models, great leaders, and seeing the opportunities that they had when they, put themselves in great position. We had FCAs and, different things, like that. And seeing that, I said, hey, those are things that I want to do. I remember, like I was saying before, is being in practice, seeing scouts on the sidelines, and I said, hey, who's that guy, with the clipboard and the polo shirt on? And I remember my freshman year, we were in cover 2, and I was defending the slot, and a receiver, ran up the seam, and I, ran with him, turned around, picked it off, and returned it for, a touchdown. And that was really a play that I remember in my head that I said, this is going to be a turning point for me, in my college football career, and this is going to be the beginning to something great. But, we went on my sophomore year, and we had struggled throughout my 4 years in college. But I think, another thing with that is that it really developed me as a leader, because every day I had to, come in and find a different way to get better, find a different way to, rally guys and keep them encouraged, regardless of what was happening on the field, or regardless of what was the turnover that was happening in the athletic administration, and it developed me as a leader and as a player. And, then my senior year, I had started since my sophomore year and kind of built that 3-year campaign as a player, and it really, did numbers. But it was really just a day-by-day approach, and I just worked every day, worked hard, and I was just infatuated with the process of getting better and grinding and becoming a student of the game.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at your bio here now. Take you back to high school. You had 30 sacks your senior year.
Yeah, so I think I was the sack leader at my high school. I don't know if I still hold that record, but I played defensive end, and I played defensive end and receiver and return punt. So it was almost like I played defensive line, receiver, and return punts. It was, I just
did it all.
Kind of did everything, and had 2 punt returns and I think 11 receiving touchdowns, and held the school record for sacks. I'm not sure if I still hold it, but
well, you had 30 in the season. Is that 30 as a career?
I think that was within my last 2 seasons. That's not in one season. No, not 30 in one season.
Because I was like, no, you still got that. Okay, so
yeah.
What honors did you win at FAMU? I mean, did you win any MEAC awards or preseason MEAC awards? A 3-year starter on a defense?
Yeah,
you had pretty good stats every year.
Yeah, I was a 3-year starter, 2-year captain, and 2-time all conference player. So I had a pretty solid career there at FAMU, and was a captain and an all-conference player my last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So now let's look at, you're a senior. Senior is over with. Now it's time to prepare for, I guess you could say, every college football player's dream, the NFL. Let's talk about that process coming out of an HBCU. You went undrafted, but you were signed by the Dolphins, your father's team, the Steelers, and then the Orlando Apollos of the AAF. So let's talk about first the NFL experience with the Dolphins and the Steelers.
Yeah, so with the Dolphins, like I said, it was a heck of a opportunity for me, just being able to put myself in position over time to achieve a lifelong dream for any football player, and I was to go to the NFL, and I started to know that it was a possibility for me, and I worked towards that. Got in training camp, and again learned a lot about myself, and it was character building, because I would say that it was honestly really the first time in my life when I had got cut that I felt like I had failed. or that I had came up short when all the, times before I was winning awards and I was a starter and the best player on the team, but you come into camp and you're competing against, other guys who are the best players on their teams, as well. So it's life lessons that you learn, along the way. But, it was a really a great experience, to say the least. About being, in the NFL was surreal, and it taught me a lot.
Okay. So now, after the NFL, you signed with the Orlando Apollos of the AAF, fledgling football league, which had its season cut short. But talk about your experience there.
Yeah, that was really, for me, a blessing in disguise, because I was with the Dolphins in 16, then I was with the Steelers for a little bit in 17, and then, I said, hey, while I'm waiting to, see what's going on here with my football career, I'm going to go back to grad school. And I'm a person who I'm always trying to, move forward and, progress myself. So I had went back to grad school, and then I had went back to grad school, and I had signed with the Apollos, and I had actually went in for, an MRI, and they had basically told me I had a bone bruise. So it was a blessing in disguise, honestly, that I had got released at the time that I did, because I had met David Baker literally that spring, probably the week that the league had got canceled, and he said, hey, we have an opportunity for you up here at the Hall of Fame. So, I thank God for that path and that journey. Even with the Alliance League and being in their mini camp, and then having a doctor say, hey, we think that, you need to get an MRI, et cetera, got that done. And, they had released me, but I had went back and finished grad school and met David Baker, and, he brought me up here to the Hall of Fame. I graduated from grad school in May and started at the Hall of Fame in June.
Okay. And I'm going to turn it back over to Keisha, because I know she wants to talk about that opportunity that you have. So, Keisha, take it away.
So, yeah, it is kind of like you played right into that. And that's when you talked about, we'll kind of go back to when you said FAMU has afforded you some of those opportunities, and you kind of went right into that. Talk about that opportunity to actually work for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because you have an opportunity that most people can only dream of.
Yeah, so it definitely is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm thankful for it. Being an HBCU guy, coming from an HBCU, this is a dream come true. The Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Black College Football Hall of Fame have a partnership that they just recently engaged in to build the Black College Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Shaq and Doug are, and them being just legends within the HBCU football. They founded the Black College Hall of Fame. And one thing they said that they wanted to do, there are three components to this partnership with the Hall of Fame. One was a Black College Hall of Fame Classic. The other was building the Black College Hall of Fame Museum here in Canton, Ohio. And the third was a postgraduate opportunity to a HBCU graduate. And, that's something that they were looking to fill. And, I happened to literally have, football opportunities kind of be in limbo and be transitioning at the time where this opportunity was presenting itself. And it's just a blessing, the timing of how, it played out, and coming up here to Canton, being able to represent Shaq Harris and Doug Williams, who were, guys that I look up to and I admire and have played a significant role, for me, and represent and help build Black college football and HBCUs.
And so what are some of those things that you do in that role? I know that it was a fellows program, correct?
Yes, yeah, it was. So it's a fellowship. Yeah, I would describe it as a professional leadership development and being able to see things at the Hall of Fame from top to bottom, from board meetings to management meetings with senior VPs working on different projects and initiatives, and really just connecting with people across the football world. I've met guys all across the league, met owners and front office executives that, are here and really wanting to build that football foundation to hopefully be able to, go forth even further and continue my football career. But the Hall of Fame has a lot of great initiatives that, it's doing with the Hall of Fame Village and building, water parks and academies and centers of excellence, and just finished building a new stadium and engaging with, all 32 teams in different ways. So it's really being right smack dab in the center of NFL and football business, which, is ideal for me.
Do you need me to come work with you? You need a sidekick?
Yeah, always more hands on deck, the better. So
I'm a little small, so it probably would work out with me. A little small.
I need all the help I can get.
It probably would not work out with me. Now, are there any other things that you're doing community-wise? Anything else that you're doing in the community outside of your work with the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, so one thing that I would say about me is that I'm a busybody. I'm always doing something, trying to think of something, have an impact, and really, I always say you have the potential and ability to change the world. However you want to do it, don't ever feel like your platform is too small to make a big difference. And me, and I'm a firm believer in that. We have a mentoring program, the Youth Leadership Initiative, Mel Blount Youth Leadership Initiative, who I work closely with that and helping to develop, all the program and all the events that we do in the Pittsburgh community and the outreach that we do for that initiative. Is one thing. This past year, I launched with Victor Grigsby, one of my close friends, business partners, launched the AAU basketball team, which really the goal of that was not only to provide those kids the opportunity to showcase their talent on the court, but also help them develop as young men and help them teach them some of the things that it's going to take to get to the next level as a student, as an athlete, as a young man, and as contributors to society, and exposing them to different opportunities. So those are a few of the things. Being involved in the church and in the community is always a passion for me. But really, what is my purpose and what is the impact that I could have on helping to change lives, communities, and make a difference, in the world is much needed.
Derek?
Well, I was going to ask, the position with the Hall of Fame, is it permanent or is it temporary?
So it is something that I would, transition out of. Not that I would leave the Hall of Fame or, this job, but this position of the fellowship with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. That's another thing, is that I want to help to continue to develop that. Me being the first James Harris, Doug Williams fellow, there's somebody that's going to come after me and be in that role. And I want to be able to help them in their development and lay out a plan of action and, something to help them move forward as they grow as a professional, as well, so that they could use this same stepping stone to get to where they want to be in their career. So it would be something I transition out of at some point.
Right. And if you were to transition out of it, if an opportunity came to play again, would you take it, or are you officially retired from playing football?
I don't ever want to rule myself out, but
because you're still young.
Yeah, I know, man. I still work out and get after it, and I get the itch sometimes, and want to go out there and throw my body around and hit somebody. But right now, I think there's just so much opportunity that I have in front of me to grow in the game as a business professional. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. I see stories like Jason Wright and him, being appointed as the president of the Washington football team, and I've immediately tried to reach out to him, connect with him on LinkedIn, send him a note, and just let him know, hey, man, your story is a inspiration to young Black men like myself who are, trying to continue to grow and reach levels that you're in. So, it's things like that I look forward to, and I'm excited about striving and trying to ascend to at a young age.
It's funny you brought that up because I was going to ask you, do you see, since you may not play anymore, if you don't choose to, would you see yourself coaching? And since you just brought up a young man who works for the Redskins, could you see yourself getting in the front office of an NFL team or starting and working your way up to that point? Is that something you could see yourself doing?
Yeah, so there's so many different roles and positions within the NFL. One thing that my dad always told me, he said, Akil, there's going to be way more jobs off the field than there is going to be on the field, and you're not beating your body up. But again, there's nothing like playing. But to his point is that there's so many different avenues to take, and coaching is one, personnel is one, front office is one, and for me, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what God has for me. But I even look at Troy Vincent, and I admire what he's doing with the league, and guys like that. They are inspiration to me.
Exactly. And here's the thing, sometimes with someone who's grown up, around your dad and around the game so long. So a lot of times, with you having the ability you have to play the game, your IQ or your, I guess you could say, football business acumen actually is increased. So with you getting your grad school degree, with you working at the Hall of Fame, with you having that ability to not only play the game, but also, I guess work in the capacity off the field. Because, a lot of they always want to say a lot of players don't make good coaches. A lot of players don't make good front office players or front office position players. I think you could buck the trend, and that could be something that our HBCU graduates can look toward. Maybe that's something we could start. I'm pretty sure they may have something like that now. But, hey, we could always start another one, a fellowship for HBCU graduates to work in NFL front offices or work in the NFL office, doing something other than playing football or on the field. So just another doorway to allow HBCU graduates to obtain employment experience and just pay back and pay it forward, like your dad's foundation is doing, like you're doing with the AAU program, or like you want to do with the person that comes after you, because that's what it's all about. Giving a helping hand to your fellow HBCU alum, and it's good to know that you have that mindset and that ability. And and of course, Keisha gives scholarships. Who knows? We might see the Akil Blount scholarship.
Yes, it's on the way. But the last thing that I would say, I actually want to make 2 points before we close, but I think that you're absolutely right, and we have to pay it forward. Michelle Obama says, when you walk through the door of opportunity, don't slam it shut behind you, but hold it open for those that come behind you. So, and that is exactly what I want to do, what I think that we have the opportunity to do with the Black College Hall of Fame and the program development that we're looking to create is exactly what you spoke of, in creating the opportunities for HBCU students to grow. And then the last thing that I would say is, we're in a difficult time in our country as it relates to race relations, as it relates to social justice, police brutality, and any time that I get a opportunity to speak on that, I would say that one, we have to stay encouraged and press forward. And I know that the times are hard and that the days may seem gloomy, but we saw what people before us have done to be able to get us to this point to create change. And there's so much stuff that's out there. But one thing that I said at a rally that I was at not too long ago is that I'm standing in the position that I'm in because of somebody that came before me. And I'm thinking about my daughter and my younger brothers and sisters and whoever it may be, is that I have to stand up for something and fight for the opportunities that, they're going to have, because, my dad, he did it, for his future generation. So, it's definitely a difficult time right now. And, I just want to, we have to be strong and keep pressing forward.
Exactly. Keisha, go ahead and close us out.
And before we close out, and of course, we communicate often back and forth through Twitter. And I think one of the most dominant tweets that I read from you was human rights are bigger than sports. And it was repeated over and over and over again. And I think one of the things you said that people have to understand, we don't understand, when we use our platform, no matter how big, how small it is, it reaches people. People see it, they retweet it, they share it, they read it, they understand it. And just like you said, in this season of so much unrest, the injustices, the brutality, is so much going on, but we try to press on. But, it's hard sometimes, but we keep going. And for people like you that continue to blaze trails, that continue to be the face of the different things that you're doing, and to reach back to help people in the community, people at HBCUs, and to say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what you can also do. I think it's a great thing. I don't hold it against you that you went to FAMU, because you are family. I'm not going to hold it against you that you're a Rattler.
Hey, it's all right. It's all HBCU love.
He went to Southern. He made a sound decision, but I can't say much because y'all did beat us in the last meeting. So I'm going to be quiet until we can meet again and try and attempt to play again.
Yeah, I was going to say it's all right. It's all HBCU love. We have to support
absolutely, always. Derek, you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys for having me. I enjoyed it.
We truly, truly, truly do appreciate you. And as Derek always say, you're no longer a guest. You're now family. So anytime you want to come on and talk sports with us, tell us something that's going on with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Black College Football Hall of Fame, anything that's going on, you're always welcome. If you need me to come be the bodyguard in Canton, I got you. I'm little, but I got you. You probably twice my size, but I got you.
Well, we definitely want to have you back on when football starts. And definitely when the Southern Jaguars and the FAMU Rattlers get ready to play again. So we can get some noise talking, because actually Keisha's first co-host, Crystal, she's a FAMU Rattler. I've been trying to get her to come on and gloat at Keisha for a while for that win, but I guess you can do all the gloat that you want. We've been talking. We've been doing a lot of FAMU Rattlers. We had AD on, the wrestling squad on.
Yep. We have. We've had a lot of. That's funny. The first story we did was on FAMU, so we've had a lot of FAMU people on. We really have.
So, we'll make that happen. I'm looking forward to it.
And good luck to your brother. Please keep us posted on your brother.
Yeah, we got to get him on.
I definitely will.
All right,
Keisha.
All right.
Well, we thank you so much, and you tune in to Black College Experience. We will keep you posted on the next show. That is our time tonight. Good night, folks.
Good night.
All right, good night.